Yo, what's going on everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon GO video. I hope you're having a good day, and let's get right into it. Alright, so over the past couple of days, Niantic has been releasing some teaser images for part 2 of the Halloween event. And unfortunately, there is a notable absence within those images. A lot of people have been pointing out that Niantic did not include the Pokemon Mimikyu, which leads the Pokemon GO community to believe that it is not going to be a part of this year's Halloween event. I think a lot of players have been waiting years for the release of this one Pokemon, and I do think that for when Niantic releases it, it's definitely going to generate a lot of hype. But I do think there are several reasons why Niantic is not releasing Mimikyu this year, and I think it's a real shame because I do think that when it comes to this one Pokemon, a lot of players really want it, and it's really because it's a super popular Pokemon within the Pokemon franchise. Now, considering that this year's Halloween is going to be during a season that is themed around the Galar region and Generation 8, I don't think Niantic is going to be releasing Mimikyu for that specific reason. I think they're going to go with a Pokemon that's originally from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and that means we're probably going to be getting Polteageist instead of Mimikyu. And I think this is a huge missed opportunity because last year or the year before, we had a Halloween event during an Alolan themed season, and I think during that time, it would have been the prime opportunity to release Mimikyu. But they did not do that, so this year they're going to go with a Galar region Pokemon, which they've already teased. And I do think that for those of us who have been waiting for Mimikyu, we're going to have to wait at least another year. Now, another notable reason why I believe Mimikyu is not going to be released this year is because Niantic is still trying to figure out how it's going to work within Pokemon GO. The reason why I say that is because within the mainstream games, it did have a couple of special abilities that did make it quite unique, and I do believe Niantic is treating it in a similar vein as Pokemon like Ditto and Zorua. When you come across a Mimikyu, I believe there's going to be some sort of special ability that's going to disguise it. And if they do try to implement it in that way, then yeah, I do think they need a little bit more time in order for this one Pokemon to cook in the oven. I don't necessarily mean literally cooking in the oven, you kind of know what I mean, but they're still probably trying to program this one Pokemon and figure out how it's going to behave. So I do believe that is a major reason why Mimikyu is still not in Pokemon GO. It's very similar to another Pokemon that took years to get released, and that is of course Kecleon. And I really do think that when it comes to these special Pokemon with different unique conditions, Niantic has a very bad track record of just taking way too long to release and figure out these Pokemon. So yeah, I think that's yet another reason why we're not getting Mimikyu this year, and it's quite a shame in my opinion, because aside from them introducing Mimikyu with some sort of special ability, I think players just simply want this Pokemon to be in the game. They don't necessarily care about too many gimmicks around different Pokemon, they just want to see these Pokemon in their collections. So because of that, if Niantic is delaying the release of Mimikyu because of some special gimmick that they're working on, I think players are going to be frustrated by that because they're not asking for that. They just want this Pokemon in the game. I mean, it's kind of a meme at this point. Every year with Halloween, they always announce different Pokemon that they're going to be introducing or some costume Pokemon, and instead of releasing Mimikyu, they always fall back to these other Pokemon that players just simply do not necessarily care about. Sure, we've had some really cool Halloween releases over the years, like we've had Litwick, I think that made a huge impact, and then of course with Yamask and Galarian Yamask, both of those Pokemon are definitely worth going after. But I do think that when it comes to Mimikyu, nothing is going to be as hype as that one Pokemon. It's definitely going to create a lot of buzz when it does eventually get released into the game, and I think when Niantic do release Mimikyu, I hope they do it really well, because if they were to botch the release of this one Pokemon, I think that's going to be a very sour note for pretty much every single Pokemon GO player, and I really hope Niantic avoids that by actually nailing it when it comes to releasing this one Pokemon. Now, another concern that players have been voicing is in regards to how we're going to get Mimikyu when it eventually gets released. Over the years, Niantic has been getting more and more egregious when it comes to pay-to-win models, like locking certain Pokemon that are incredibly popular behind raids and eggs. A lot of people are hoping that when it comes to Mimikyu, it's not going to be a Pokemon that you're only going to be able to get when you spend money, i.e. hatching it through eggs. So I really do think that's something Niantic needs to watch out for. If they were to release Mimikyu into the game, it has to be something that any player will have access to, and really for the people who are going to be spending money to hatch eggs or do raids for this Pokemon, they're really going for the IVs of those Pokemon, like they're going for the perfect IVs. Aside from that, it should be something that pretty much anyone can get, and I do think that's the way Niantic needs to go. Unfortunately, over the past couple of years, Niantic has not been going that way. It seems like some of the fan favorites have been locked behind eggs and raids and even timed research, and I think because of that, players are getting very doubtful regarding how Niantic is going to be handling their game moving forward. If they were to monetize Mimikyu in some way, where the only way you can get this Pokemon is by paying money, a lot of players are going to be extremely unhappy about that, and I do guarantee that a majority of people are going to be fed up with the game at that point. For a Pokemon that has years of hype around it, and for Niantic to delay the release of this Pokemon over several years, only to lock it behind a paywall, I think that would be such a terrible move. Not just for Pokemon Go, but for the sake of gaining positivity from the Pokemon Go player base. Now, even with all this said, I do think there is a very small chance that Niantic could give us a pleasant surprise by including Mimikyu with this year's Halloween event. But I obviously have my doubts. I think there is a very small chance that Niantic would actually release Mimikyu this year because they would be hyping it up at this point. They would be definitely talking about it, they would be teasing it at the very least, because they know that a lot of players are going to be hyping up the Halloween event if they were to know that Mimikyu was going to be a part of it. I really do think that Niantic is holding it off for some very major release. I do think they're going to dedicate an entire Halloween event around this one Pokemon. It just so happens to be not this year, and I think a lot of players are going to be frustrated by that, but we'll just have to wait and see. I do hope that when they eventually release Mimikyu, it's definitely going to be a major event. I mean, at this point, it's essentially just a collector's item, right? Aside from any kind of cool gimmick that the Pokemon might have, it's not going to have any kind of gameplay relevance. Possibly within the Great League it might, but I would predict that this one Pokemon is not going to be a game changer when it comes to both PvP and raid battles. But at the same time, I do think a lot of players really want this Pokemon, just considering how popular it was when it was first introduced into the Pokemon franchise. So eventually, when it does come to Pokemon Go, I really do hope that players are going to continue to actually anticipate this Pokemon so that they're going to get excited about it. Because how terrible would it be if Niantic finally releases Mimikyu, but all those players that have been waiting for it no longer even play the game at that point? So that's definitely a possibility. But yeah, I'm just really hoping that we eventually get this Pokemon and it comes really soon, because at this point, I mean, it's been several years, and I think a lot of players are starting to get fed up on waiting for this one Pokemon. But yeah, I could be completely wrong there, but we'll just have to wait and see. I'm really excited to see how Halloween is going to go this year. But yeah, in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding Mimikyu not coming to Pokemon Go. Do you think it might actually be in Pokemon Go this year? I'm really curious to see what your reasons are for why you think that. Definitely share those thoughts in the comments down below, and let's have a great discussion. And yeah, thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you in the next one.